out of the book Waging War on Wall Street. Okay, I respect that. But you go on and get after those white-collar criminals. Can we talk about a human hyena right now? I'm sure you have experience in criminal law as well. I've read your resume very carefully. How is it the prime suspect, after what we know happened to Laken, can you imagine the roommate calling her parents? Have you talked to Laken? And that feeling the mom and dad must have gotten when they're like, no. And now he jumps up in court and is making demands about having evidence thrown out. Do you ever just want to shoot your foot when you're sitting in court listening to this? If I could get my hands around his neck, I'd end up on the Nancy Grace show. Okay, Andrew Stoltman, why does he think he can make demands like throwing out evidence?
Well, I think he's seen it done successfully in other cases. I mean, think about it, Nancy. How will the defendant get around the fact that his DNA was found underneath the victim's nails, right? That's cataclysmic to the case. So he has to try to get this information out, because if he doesn't, he's going to spend a very long time, the rest of his life in prison. And by the way, I still can't figure out why the prosecutors aren't pursuing the death penalty in this case. Because if any reprobate, if any degenerate deserves it, it's this guy.
Look at this guy actually making demands in court. You know, I want to talk about the way that her body was found, but let me go along chronologically. So the roommate realizes Laken didn't come back from jogging. She starts making calls. Where's Laken? Where's Laken? Laken's not answering her cell phone. Now listen to this.
There was a jacket.
And what is the significance of the jacket? And why did you believe it was related to the murder?
Because I've never saw the jacket myself, but I was told by other law enforcement officials that there was blood and I believe hair on the jacket.
What type of hair?
Laken's hair.
Laken's hair on a jacket. So immediately, Cheryl McCollum, all the investigators start retracing her steps, trying to figure out where she was. Then they look in a dumpster. Thank heaven. And yes, that's SOP to look in dumpsters. I looked in plenty of them, and it stinks. It's horrible conditions. You have to get in there and dig through everything. But they were rewarded when they find a jacket with hair on it that turns out to be Laken's jacket. That dumpster yielded evidence. Cheryl McCollum.
It was brilliant, Nancy. From the moment she's reported missing at 12:07, they find her by 12:38. That's telling you how seriously law enforcement took this. When they got to that dumpster and got in it and found the jacket with the blood and the hair, that's going to connect that person from that jacket to Lakeland. Then they also have her cell phone. You mentioned earlier she attempted to call 911. That's going to be real-time stamped too. So now you're starting to build this case. You're starting to connect these dots that are going to be extremely important for trial.
Joining me right now is a very high-profile investigative reporter and anchor at WTVM and WXTX on this case from the beginning. And I say case as opposed to story. This is no story. Ask Laken's parents if this is some story. This is real. And they are having to deal with this every day of their lives. And now the suspect is making demands. He's got a nerve. Jason Dennis, I want you to tell me about the area. Thank you for being with us again, Jason. I really appreciate it. You've been there. You're familiar with it. You know exactly what happened. Tell me about the area where Laken was jogging.
Well, these are, Nancy, intramural fields that are commonly used. I mean, there's 40,000 students at the University of Georgia, including my son. And this is an area that's commonly used, intramural fields. People park there. People walk from there to class, walk from class to there, and often work out. And it's beautiful weather in Athens, Georgia, often, for a lot of the year. And so it's commonly used. And it's not a place where you would go and feel unsafe.